What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Early Edge. We are brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas, and we've got a huge show for you today. It's a crowded field of cappers. You're absolutely going to love it. And I love seeing Zoom, Eric, David, Jen M, Samuel Gallegos, Steve Folkerts, Jason Harrod, and all of you in the chat. Thanks for being in here. Smash the like button, and let's see if you like the recap screen. Before we bring in the stars of the show, we go over the recap buckets. Hits his, Sniper 1 for 2. The SportsLine pick hits. Larry misses his pick. We go 3 and 2. Certainly not a bad day, not a stellar day, but don't forget we had some extra picks in there, and it's kind of weird, but those extra picks were MLB picks from buckets, and Ellie De La Cruz hit his hits, runs, RBIs. I don't think he went the yard, but let's bring in Buckets and the rest of the crew to talk some Major League Baseball. Buckets, we've got you. We've got Bob Konarski. We've got Danny Brasco. We got Amags. I really want to get to Bob. I really do. But Buckets, I have to start with you really quickly. Are you our newest baseball capper?
Oh, absolutely not. No, after Ellie De La Cruz cashed that ticket, I'd have Sniper explain to me why he cashed it, because he said an RBI. It's just, no, I'm not a capper. Leave that to Amags. I'm just happy to be a part of the crew.
Well, I certainly hope you came with a pick. Bob, I know you came with a baseball pick. Tell us what you kept, because you haven't been on the Early Edge in quite some time. I know you do college basketball, you do NFL, college football, I believe, and Major League Baseball. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
What's up, guys? What's up, chat? I see everyone saying what's up. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me again. I did see Eric Dave in the chat said it's Malik Neighbors days away till football, and we have a showdown between me and Sia. Not a technical showdown, but Giants Commanders. It's a good time. I'm glad to be back. And yeah, I do pretty much everything except NHL, try to give out winners. And tail fade, I just hope you make some money. It's good to be back here.
Bob, we are Malik Neighbors days away from an Eagles-Cowboys kickoff. I do have to just volley this back to you real quick. That line, I believe, it opened in that 7 range. It got bet down. I think it's around 6 now at most books. Do you have any thoughts on that game? I mean, 6 is a lot of points. It's in Washington. I do respect the Giants' defense, particularly their front 4. Is it enough to cover the spread in your mind?
I kind of liked it at 7.5. I think 2 weeks ago it was at 7. I would only take the Giants if they were getting at least a touchdown. Do I think that they could cover 6.5? Yes, but I think 2 years ago I was on the Early Edge. I put out Giants plus 3.5 against the Cowboys. They lost 40-0. So for season openers of the Giants, I'm gonna stay clear of the Giants. I'm probably gonna watch this game as a fan.
Brasco, you came with an NFL pick, but you've also got some UFC today, correct?
Yeah, I'm fired up. See, I'm going to give you guys a little two-piece for the NFL. The Thursday and Friday games will be featured in my pick, and we have UFC Paris as well. So this is when I'm my happiest. Football and fighting season, joy is limitless.
So much going on right now. Amags, I trust you came with an MLB pick or 2, but I have to ask you, are you jealous with Bucket's win-loss record in Major League Baseball?
I was going to say, how is he going to come in here after a win like that and tell us, oh, I'm not the newest MLB capper? I mean, I think we're all expecting you to now bring something else to the table each day. It doesn't have to be a Reds play. Maybe if that's the one team you got to beat on, then stick with it. But I love what he's doing, man. And I do have to say, I didn't wear this hat just to throw him off because this is the Reds' opponent today. It is, according to my picks as well. So.
Well, let's get to your picks. Before we do, I want to point out that Joe Neuenfeld, who is probably the gold medalist at the lookalike game, a la the Dan Le Batard show. He says, Berg, of course, that's Bob, Berg Bets, still has the lead singer of a boy band look. You got to love that compliment, Bob. You absolutely got to love it. All right, let's get to some Major League Baseball picks. We got 3 to rattle off, 2 from you, Amags, 1 from Bob. You're going to kick us off, though, Amags.
All right, let's do it. We got some Toronto Blue Jays picks, and I will say, because this Wednesday show, I'm not generally, I think, on Wednesdays. I might have to, rack my brain here to see if I've been. But generally with Wednesdays, we get this getaway day, the final game of the series. Sometimes you have depleted lineups. You have to kind of look at what some of these games and their lineups specifically look like. But this Blue Jays team has been rolling. I get that they actually do need to win this game to win the series because they lost the first game of the series. But still, last night, 12 runs, 12 hits. The bats are rolling. The first night, the bats were still kind of rolling. Yeah, maybe a hit or two more with runners in scoring position would help during the full game, but they were off a travel day. They had to face Hunter Green. That's a tough matchup in the first game. So I kind of get not hitting there. But to win the series, they've got to win and hit tonight. And Zach Littell, a very familiar foe to them, right near 4 ERA in August for him. He actually hasn't, I guess, been terrible since coming over to Cincinnati. But pitching in Cincinnati, this should be one of the better hitting environments here tonight. And I think Toronto Blue Jays on the team total over 4.5 here. You're actually getting a pretty good price on MGM, in my opinion, 15 or 20 cents too light at -125. But I kind of said the contingency earlier is that look for the lineup, because with an off day tomorrow, you may actually see, and a big series against the Yankees coming up, you may see a couple of these hitters sit today. I hope we don't, but you may see it. So if you want to wait on the full team total and see what the lineup looks like, it's a 6:35, I believe, game. You'll have a little bit of time to see what that lineup looks like, but you may lose a little bit of the price. So kind of weigh your options there. I'm going to play it. I think even if one or two of these guys sit, they should be fine against Littell, who, when you look at Zach Littell, 30 home runs allowed in 160 innings. He's at a career high in innings, a career high in home runs allowed. I think that can certainly continue. And with one guy who's already got a home run off him this year, it's Vlad Guerrero Jr. So we're going Vlad over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. He's really the only guy in that upper third of the lineup that's at 1.5. There's 2.5 for George Springer, 2.5 for Bo Bichette, who's been tearing the cover off the ball. And I kind of love that Bichette is going to hit behind Vladdy here in the projected lineup, at least, and that's how it kind of looks. You also have Dalton Varsho. We're going to see him in a moment with the home run picks from the model. I love that they've got him in the home run picks, because I think he can also hit a home run here. Home run in each of the last 2 nights. And even though Littell has been worse against right-handers, at least in terms of home runs, almost 20 allowed, I think that Varsho, when you're going hot like this and you have a guy who we have dubbed a turkey tosser in the Discord in Zach Littell, I think that, you can very easily grab another home run when you're hot here. So Vladdy on the over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, simply because he's the only one at 1.5. He really should be at 2.5, in my opinion. And I like the prospects here of him getting at least 2 buckets, at least 2 of a 2 runs, 2 hits, 2 RBIs, or a combination of those 3. What can you tell us real quick what a RBI is, Buckets?
An RBI stands for runs batted in. I learned that yesterday. So thank you, Sniper, and thank you, Amags, and the SportsLine Discord for teaching me that.
That's amazing.
Did you get a thought on if it's RBIs or RBI? That's a big thing in baseball, because it's runs batted in. The S should not be at the end. Is it RBI or is it RBIs?
I saw people online. I saw people online calling it ribbies. Is that a thing?
That you know what? Go with ribbies. I like ribbies.
Go with ribbies.
That's old school. It's like an ATM machine situation. Like, you don't say ATM machine because the M is already there, but you're like saying it anyway because it's just the natural thing to say, address it as a machine. We could do with these isms all day, but we got to get to more baseball. We have so many baseball picks today. So we just gave out 2 from Brasco. Bob, you've got 1. We're going to have 2 baseball sports line picks. We've got our home run props. I mean, this is like so much a baseball show, but Buckets, we got to get to your soccer picks, and Brasco, we got to get to your football. And I've got a football pick for tomorrow night, Thursday night football, but let's continue with the baseball. Bob, hit us with a play on the A's.
Yeah, so if you followed my plays last night, I took the A's and the Pirates. Pirates cash, that was nice, but the A's did not. So I'm just going to go back to the well with the A's. Last night, St. Louis faced a righty. That's why I took them. They have been at the bottom of every offensive category against righties over the past month, but they still got the win last night. Now they face Jeffrey Springs, a lefty who pitches his best on the road, 3.66 road ERA, and St. Louis is hitting .301 with a .804 OPS at lefties at home over the last month. However, Springs is in so much better form than Matthew Liberatore. He has control issues. He's allowing a lot of sharp contact, and he's allowed 3 runs or more in each of his last 4 starts. I do really think that the A's could get to Liberatore because they have been the second best offensive team in the majors over the last 2 months on the road against lefties, hitting .282 with a .853 OPS. The A's have also been the 3rd most profitable team in the majors on the road, right behind the Brewers and the Marlins. So like I said, this team has been very good to me this year. I'm going to go back to the well with the A's.
All right, we got a pick on the A's. We're going back to the well there, and we've got an MGM parlay boost that you might want to consider since you're getting so many MLB picks on this early edge show. BetMGM players will receive an MLB parlay boost. Just create an MLB parlay, and you can activate the boost. It's that easy. If the parlay hits, you get extra winnings only at BetMGM. And I also want to remind everybody, if you haven't already commented with your favorite NFL bet for this weekend, not necessarily for Thursday Night Football, which we saw some yesterday for that, we're voting on this on Friday. So a game over the weekend on Sunday in NFL Week 1, that's what we want. It could be a prop. It could be against the spread. It could be a total, whatever the case may be. But we're making an early edge group NFL bet, just like we did with the Buccaneers future to win the NFC South. To help us, comment on Spotify or YouTube with an NFL bet that you think we all should ride together for Week 1 of the NFL. On Friday, we'll choose our favorite 3 or 4 bets and put it up to a vote. You all will vote on the play that we're going to ride together for Week 1. Rob Johnson's already putting plays in the chat. Just, Rob, make sure you also put that in the YouTube comments or in the Spotify comments. That's how we're going to know to see it and put it up for nomination. All right, that's a lot to get through. Let's get to some more MLB picks. Shane Bieber over 5.5 Ks at -118. That one is courtesy of Prop Bet Guy. And Tampa Bay Rays money line +120. That one courtesy of Bruce Marshall. And we have even more MLB because we got to get to the home run picks and we got to get to Amags commenting on them like he's commenting in the chat. But before we do that, we got to get to some NFL, some UFC, some soccer. We're going to do it right after this message from our partners.
You can't count on Derek's tong skills.
Oh, Tony, I think it hit the ground.
But you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount+.
We're back on the early edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. Danny Brasco, we've kept you quiet way too long. You're diversifying the portfolio a bit. You've got an NFL teaser, one leg of which I put out on Monday, so I'm with you on that one. And then we've got a UFC play as well, so start wherever you want.
Let's go, Sia. We're going to start with NFL because we are around the corner. I couldn't be more excited. And I'm getting right into it with one of my favorite ways to bet the NFL, and that's teasers. The benefit now of these alternate spreads is that, you're not locked into like that 6-point teaser. You can tease a team that you like to +8.5 on that alternate spread that not necessarily is, a +2.5 dog, right? You can mix and match now. So that's my favorite teaser leg, getting that +8.5 or teasing a favorite down inside a field goal. And that's how we're going to play this. We're going to do the Thursday and Friday game. Give me the Eagles -2.5 and give me the Chargers +8.5 against the Chiefs on their Friday game. Now, forgive me if I look up at my whiteboard a bunch because I got a lot of stats and trends that I want to share with you guys for Week 1. But first of all, I think it's tough sledding for the Cowboys to open up against the Super Bowl champion Eagles, who return pretty much everyone, right? All they lost in the defensive backfield was C.J. Gardner-Johnson. They returned 4 of the 5 DBs that were so elite back there, 4 of the 5 offensive linemen that just absolutely pushed the pile against everyone. Yes, they lose Mekhi Becton, but they return all those other beasts. And I just don't think Dallas is quite mentally ready for them. Losing Micah Parsons now, which it was a team that already was, we were wondering about their pass rush and how that would really be, I guess, the key feature of their defense. I'm someone that talks often about how Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland are very good, defensive backs, but they rely on that pass rush to create the interceptions. They're an opportunistic defense. They're not necessarily just elite cover corners. So I think they're going to have trouble with A.J. Brown in Week 1. You look at the Eagles, when they're at full strength, they are tough to beat. In 54 games they've played with A.J. Brown healthy on the team, they're 43-11 straight up. So yeah, I just think Dallas with a new RB1, a new wide receiver 2 in Pickens, Javonte Williams, who I'm mentioning, I don't think they can do it. However, I will say in terms of this wide +8.5 that they're laying right now, Dak is 4-1 against the spread as a +7.5 or more dog. And he's 29-12 against the spread against the NFC East. So I'm not going to lay it. It is a wide number, but I think the Eagles can certainly win by at least a field goal. And I'll pair that up with the Chargers tomorrow night. I think they might be on upset alert for the Chiefs in the debut. There is a Super Bowl hangover, and it's typically for the loser. Since 2000, Super Bowl losers are 6-19 against the spread in Week 1. And the Chiefs are a team that, of course, they're perennial powerhouse and contenders in the Super Bowl, but they were 22nd in yards per game in offense last season. They had kind of a sputtering offensive season, and no Rashee Rice to start the year. By the way, Justin Herbert is Patrick Mahomes' kryptonite. He is the worst quarterback matchup against the spread in him. Mahomes is 2-5-1 against the spread in his career. And I'm going to bump him up to +8.5 because when Herbert is in a 6-point teaser, he's 16-1 against that teaser. So you bump them up past a field goal. This is a Chargers team that we know is always snake bit by horrible luck. It's like they miss a field goal that pinballs off both posts, hits the crossbar, and they lose by the hook. But they're covering bigger spreads. So I think this team is built to stay in close games, in the trench warfare, acquiring Mekhi Becton, drafting Omarion Hampton. I think they'll play the Chiefs close. This is a gritty team that's going to be tough to play. So give me a wide spread for them on the teaser, and I'll pair that with the Eagles inside a field goal. Okay, that was a long diatribe for my teaser. Let me fire through a UFC Paris pick, and this is the main event, guys. I'm going with the guy that turned from the dog to the favorite. Give me Caio Borralho, one of the captains of the Fighting Nerds, and I think this guy is reaching the peak of his career. He's facing Nassourdine Imavov in the main event, and Imavov is going to have the hometown behind him in Paris. He's a Russian Parisian fighter. And this guy, I think Borralho is going to have the mental edge against him. He was recently in an interview and called him soft and weak, said this guy just kind of makes it tough for the UFC. He always wants his way. And Borralho is going to bring the fight to his face. Technically speaking, I think Imavov is a better kickboxer, but Borralho has more paths to victory. He can use his kickboxing to set up his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu attack. And I give him the cardio and toughness edge. I think as this fight reaches the later stages, Borralho is going to start to take over and have that gritty edge. The winner of this fight is likely going to face Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight title. So this is a title eliminator, and I think Borralho is the next up to face him. So give me Caio Borralho, give me an NFL teaser, and fire me up for this week. See, I couldn't be more excited.
I love it. And Brasco, I love what you said about teasers. And because we talked about this on Monday when I gave out mine with respect to taking the alt lines as opposed to the teasers themselves, getting them under the key number. So you're not tied to the 6 points. You're not tied to a -130 or a -135 teaser. I absolutely think you did it right there. And what I love about what you did is, my teaser, which by the way is the Broncos and the Eagles, which I did like a true teaser on that one at -130, admittedly so. But I have to wait till Sunday to cash that one. That assumes the Eagles cover their portion of it. I got that one down to -1.5, but you get to cash yours Friday night if it comes in. And I absolutely love that. Amags, go ahead.
So something that I said I wanted to do this year was moonlight a little bit in the NFL because I did well on the teasers last year, Sia, and that is my teaser for this week. 2-team shop around, try to maybe get yourself a good book out there because I got -120. And it's the Eagles there -2.5, Broncos -2.
Okay, well, I don't know if you guys watched the show on Monday. That's my tease from Monday. And the good news is I got the Eagles at -1.5 and the Broncos at -2. Still under that key number of 3, but I got it -1.5 and -2. And the best price I got there was actually at BetMGM, who has a little bit of better of a price than FanDuel and DK on the true 6-point teasers. That's going to be -130. So yeah, we're all on board. Maybe that's before we vote on the Friday play, maybe that's the group play for us. Buckets, I do want to get to your soccer picks, but because we just talked football, I got to talk about the prop I put on SportsLine. Now, Xavier Legette, you got that yesterday. Then I put the prop in on SportsLine a little after the fact, and the line immediately moved. You read into that what you will. I was very good in NFL player props last year, but it's now from 34.5. It's 36.5 universally on Xavier Legette. I don't know that that's going to happen to this one. I got Jake Ferguson over 32.5 receiving yards. The best book you'll get, I think it's FanDuel and Caesars have it still at 32.5. The best price is over at FanDuel. Most books have this at 34.5 or 35.5. And I trust that FanDuel is probably going to adjust at some point, maybe right after this show, to 34.5 or 35.5. Here's the thing. Jake Ferguson wasn't a huge part of the offense last year for 2 reasons. One is because he was hurt. He had some issues with regular injuries. He also had a concussion. And also because Dak Prescott only played 8 games. But when these two play together and they're healthy, Ferguson is absolutely a reliable safety blanket for Dak Prescott. And that was memorialized this offseason in July. We talk about how Micah Parsons didn't get paid. You know who got paid? Jake Ferguson. This tight end that nobody wants to draft in their fantasy football leagues and nobody seems to think is any good, got 4 years, $52 million and $30 million guaranteed. He is very clearly a big part of this offense. And when you talk about a negative game script for the Cowboys going up against the Eagles tomorrow night, you're talking about Vic Fangio probably defending against the big play. That doesn't mean CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens aren't going to get theirs, but it does mean there's going to be some underneath stuff that's going to be open for Dak's reliable safety blanket, Jake Ferguson. Zach Bond, very good in coverage last year, will probably limit some opportunities for Jake Ferguson, but we're only talking about 32.5 yards here. I would play this up to 34.5. Again, I think this guy is going way under the radar because of his lack of production last year that was really due to injury more than anything else to him and Dak Prescott. Give me Jake Ferguson over 32.5 receiving yards. And oh, by the way, first touchdown score Jake Ferguson is 18-1. Now, listen, this Cowboys defense is not going to hold down the Philadelphia Eagles offense, but the offense can score on this defense. Listen, they're not necessarily going to cover the spread, but I do think the Cowboys are very live to get the first touchdown. And because their players' odds are so depressed because they're such a big underdog, we're getting some value on the pass catchers. Jake Ferguson, 18-1 as your first touchdown score. Let's sprinkle that in as well. All right, that's one of two plays I've already put on SportsLine. Amags, go ahead before we get to bucket soccer picks.
Oh, you meant me. See, actually, that's the third
go
time
ahead,
in the
Brasco.
show that you've confused me and Amags. You said Brasco's baseball. So
you're both so good looking.
Body doubles, guys. Amags. I mean, we were in the team together, so now it's confirmed we are two separate people, but I will be using Amags as a body double in future stunts. I wanted to I love that Jake Ferguson play. I love the take on that. See, I wanted to mention two things that I failed to in my take. I had a lot of trends. I didn't get through all of them, but if you're looking to bet, first I wanted to, address Eric David. He said, Danny, thoughts about DK changing the 6-point teaser from -120 to -135 odds. To see his point, that's why I'll be looking at alt spreads instead of playing the teaser they want me to, because they know it's a good bet, so they want to add more juice and take away some of your winnings. So I'll look to craft it my way. You want it, the Wong teaser, teasing 6 points up from +1.5 to +2.5 to get to +7.5 and 8.5. That's usually the smartest way to play it, because 9 is not really a number that, teams aren't winning 30-21. So they say use all your points in that teaser effectively, right? You're paying to use those points. So play at alt spreads. And something I wanted to mention in terms of trends, if you're betting the Chargers or Chiefs this year, the Chiefs leading after the first quarter in the last 3 seasons, y'all, 29-0 straight up. So if they're winning after Q1, you can get a good live number. Maybe lock in Chiefs on the money line. And also for the Chargers, it's so reliant on their defense, Sia. When they allow 24 or less, they're 33-12 straight up, 33-10-2 against the spread. So look for tight games in the Chargers. You can cash a lot on them this year, I think, as dogs.
And Amags, I'm actually going to the right Amags here. I think there was a question from Samuel Gallegos about, I assume it was talking about Jake Ferguson's receptions line, which you appropriately answered. It's 3.5, but it's juiced way to the over, I believe. I think it's like pretty prohibitive, like -150, -160. You could take the over 4.5 at a plus number. But again, that's why I went with the yards, because that receptions line was a little finicky. And I do think Jake Ferguson, he's a big lumbering guy, but I do think he can do some stuff after the catch. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. All right, we got to get to more. We got the questions to get to, home run props, but buckets, let's get your picks, and then we're going to go around the board to some questions.
See, I got 2 plays for everyone, and I'm going to give the same warning for today's bet that I did on the bet we cashed yesterday. We are in international break, which means we are currently betting on amateur players and amateur teams. These are not professional players who play full-time. These are guys who are working an 8 to 5 and then trying to get some time to play in after. But that doesn't mean we still can't make money. We are on the FA qualifiers in a matchup between Ashton United taking on Hallam FC here. And we're going with both teams to score in over 2.5 goals. These are teams that are playing currently in the 7th and the 8th tier of English football. So we have Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, National, way down there. But good for us. That means if you like goals, generally these are teams that you like to bet on here. Hallam FC has now hit both teams to score and over 2.5 in 10 of their last 11 matches straight. These are teams that heavily prioritize offense over everything, and defense really is kind of the secondary thing. We saw that in the Dutch Cup yesterday when we took over 3.5 goals in a game that ended with 7 goals. So there's no reason to change things up. Go for that same game parlay. I took this on MGM Sportsbook. If you want to shop it around, you can, but I got no problem playing -125 on this. And then Sia, if everyone will entertain me on this, I would like to put my perfect MLB record on the line and give a second baseball play here. But I had to kind of mix it up a bit here, go a little bit crazy, because I didn't realize that baseball teams play pretty much every single day. It's not like a once a week kind of thing. So I'm looking at the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Cincinnati Reds, and I'm going with the crazy one here. Elly De La Cruz over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at -110. I am taking the profit I made yesterday, and I'm just doubling it down. I'm just going to see how many times I can bet this exact same bet until it misses. So there's no real reason why I'm taking this. I'm not a baseball guy. I didn't do any research. It hit once. I'm just going to see if it'll hit again.
You know what they say, always bet on Reds. I hit that bet too, Buckets. I said I was going to tell you.
You used a boost. You used a boost on it.
In fairness, I used the boost because those bets are limited, right? So I didn't want to put a lot of money on. But either way, I did follow your lead. Jeffrey Birchman said he was a Pasquantino home run from $6,000 yesterday. The home run model has been hot. So let's go right to that right now, Ben. if you don't mind. CLE fan says, Ellie goes the yard today. Watch. And we've got Dalton Varsho, Gino Suarez, and Manny Machado. And if you're listening on the podcast, here are the splits. Varsho is plus 305 versus plus 330, plus 300 versus plus 380 for Suarez, and plus 290 versus plus 350 for Manny Machado. Those are the odds. But then again, that's the value that you're seeing from the inside the lines and SportsLine model crew. Amags, I'll go to you. And Bob, I don't know if any of these three are sticking out to you, but Amags, I'm going to go to you first. Any thoughts on either of these three? Varsho.
I like the Dalton Varsho one and the Blue Jays here. I also like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. to potentially hit a home run. If they, how about they all just hit a home run in the Blue Jays game? That'd be awesome to cash the Varsho one for us. Suarez is a guy we generally like, and maybe this is something I could take quickly on Bucket's pick. But just looking at Adrian Hauser, only one home run allowed against right-handed batters this year. The others, the other side for him, the lefties have hit 5 in actually less innings. So I don't love that one. I really think I would go with Varsho here or one of those Blue Jays. And then secondly, really quick on Bucket's pick there is that if you looked at the numbers yesterday, now Jose Barrios was terrible, but if you looked at the numbers yesterday, it was like kind of like most of the numbers you would look at were going against Ellie to do well. And then of course Barrios blows up, Ellie cashes for us, right? So there's something about this guy Buckets, man. I mean, he picks something and then it's like, oh, Barrios is better on the road this year. He's better against left-handed hitters. He's better, and then all of a sudden Ellie still does his thing. So I love it, Buckets. Stick with what's working, and hopefully some of these Blue Jays hit some home runs.
There are allegations that Buckets owns one almanac from Back to the Future. So honestly, I'm not positive that that's untrue. Bob, I don't know if you have any comments on the home runs, but I do want to mention Rick Funcannon, because you cover college football, says, Berg, you got any leans for college football this weekend? So you can address either or both.
So, I responded to him in the chat. I haven't really looked at it yet. I've been trying to get ready for football, see what I like for football. I will have college plays. I have a list already, so I just got to pick the right ones. As for the home run bets, Amags hit it on the head with pretty much everyone there. I would say if I were to do a home run bet, I would target someone for the Astros, like Altuve, maybe Alvarez if he's in the lineup. Will Warren has given up 4 home runs in his last 3 starts, or 4. I think it's 4 starts. And I'm not a big Will Warren guy as a Yankees fan, and I could see the Astros maybe getting to him to 1 or 2 tonight. Who that's going to be, I could see it being that little weasel, Altuve or Alvarez if he's in the lineup.
Samuel Gallegos wants to transition to NFL. Bob, aka Berg, he says, Berg, do you like the Giants over 5.5 wins? That's your team.
That is my team. I was going to address them when we talked NFL anyway. Unfortunately, I know some of my friends might be watching. I do not like the Giants over 5.5 wins. I think they're going under. They have the toughest schedule in the entire league. I said this numerous times to all my friends and people I talk to about sports. I really think that the Giants are going to be an exciting bad team. Their defense should be top 10. I'm banking that they're going to be just a cover machine. I think they do have the talent. Russ, everybody in Pittsburgh makes fun of me that we have Russ, but Russ does get the ball out. Malik Neighbors finally has someone who is going to throw the ball down the field, not only to him, but to Slayton Robinson. Hoping Theo Johnson has a big second year. And then with the teasers, I do not, and I don't know if anyone else agrees, I do not like to tease up, but if I were to tease, I would tease the Giants up to 14.5. They've only lost to the Commanders by 14 or more twice since 2005. These games are historically close. Divisional game. I don't like to tease up, but if you're a Giants fan or want to have some play in the Giants game, I would try to tease the Giants up to 14.5.
We talk about Washington like they were some dominant team last year. That's very much not the case. And honestly, the last time they played the Giants, and Amags, I know you have follow-up, but when they played the Giants, I think it was the second time they played, the Giants should have won. I mean, Washington got in the red zone a lot and kicked a lot of field goals, but Giants very easily could have won that game. Washington could have lost.
Should have won both games.
Should have won both games. Washington maybe should have lost to the Chicago Bears, obviously. There was that Hail Mary. They probably should have lost to the Falcons, which may have actually prevented them from making the playoffs. I think Washington's good. I like their upgrades. I'm a big Washington fan, but we can't rewrite history and just remember the Detroit Lions game and be like, oh my gosh, this team is so good. The variance on this team is very high, or I should say it's extreme. They can have a 7-10 record, and it's not going to surprise me, or they could be potentially 12-5. I mean, I can see it either way. It's probably going to fall somewhere in between, and that's where you get their win total at 9.5. But this is not some dominant team. Angelo, Brasco, Maglioka, you have some follow-up.
I was like, wait, who is going to go? I'm not sure who I am.
That is awesome.
Wow. Well, yeah, I love Berg's take there because I agree. I have my Giants finishing. There it is. There's my Jason Sehorn Tiki Barber hat at 5-12. But I think they're more likely to finish with a winning record against the spread. I totally agree with him. You're going to see some inflated lines, and Russ can game manage and get us in there on the back of the defense, maybe cover by the hook on a number of plays. But I saw someone in the chat mention that his favorite teaser is going from plus 2.5, or excuse me, from plus 3.5 to minus 2.5, going through 0. And hey, if it's working for you, then don't fix it. But I got to say, the cardinal sin of teaser, the golden rule, don't tease through 0. I mentioned before, you want every point to matter. You're paying for those 6 points, and 0 is a dead number. So you're essentially wasting a point. So strategically, I would avoid going through 0 on teasers, but teasers are back, baby.
Amags?
I actually just wanted to say one thing on what Berg had said, but really quick, Aaron Bailey, this is very true. This might be my favorite show ever. He said, how do we have 3 Yankees fans on the show? And where is Jeff? Is this the end of the world? It very well might be no Jeff to bring the hate from the other side. This is just all Yankees love today. Maybe the picks on the Blue Jays was the Yankees hate because there's a little bit of an emotional hedge to bet on the Blue Jays right now, because if they don't do well, at least it opens the door for the Yankees. But the one thing on the Giants I find interesting, and I totally agree with Berg, that they're probably going to be a very exciting bad team. Very tough schedule. When you look, if you want to try to find 6 wins in that schedule, you tell me where they're going to come, because at least multiple are going to have to come in the division to get to that 6 number. Just based on who else they play, I think it's very tough. So I do not think that they get to 6 wins. But I also don't want to bet the under, because this is an exciting team. I think there's some pieces that they definitely have going for them, and the game generally is won in the trenches. So I like what he was saying there. A very exciting, fun, bad team. Hopefully Jackson Dart gets a little bit more run than we kind of think he will right now. But I'm going to be watching. I love what's happening. And yeah, a little shout out to our buddy Aaron Bailey in the chat there for a good one.
Rick Funcannon Jr. says, I miss Jeff. Bob, did you have some follow-up?
Dart starts by week 8.
Yes.
Calling us.
It might be earlier than that, honestly.
Is that going to be like Russell Wilson's fault, or just a bad team? You know what I mean? Because I feel like we're going to put it all on Russell Wilson, and it's not going to be deserved.
Dayball and Shane are going to have to start him to save their jobs for one more year. I think if they want their jobs to be safe and have him for one more year, just one, I think they'll start him early. If he doesn't pan out next year, they'll still give him a year with a new regime after next year. But I think they want to see it through with Dayball. He got his guy, and we'll see what Dart's going to have to play if Dayball wants to save his job. It's that simple.
Danny?
Yeah, John Mara, the owner, is getting really fickle and impatient. He's getting a little bit erratic with his decision-making, too. I totally agree with Berg. I think they're going to have to shake it up if these guys want to keep their job, or they're going to get tossed or fired, or there's going to be regime change, because Mara's just kind of going off the handle here. So I agree. It's going to be, let's see what our rookie can do right now, because he looks ready.
Buckets, I want to get to some soccer plays, and here's a sports line. You can vote on this. Ben just put it out. Is Jackson Dart a Giant starter by the end of the season? So far, 68% of you say yes. Buckets, I want to see if there's any soccer questions before we get to the recap screen. There were some questions about the primetime shows for football. I do want to let everybody know. So there's not going to be a Thursday night primetime show tomorrow night. That's more a logistical thing. But there will be Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night primetime shows, and it's actually going to take you into the first quarter as well, but that's not going to be from us. There's going to be people, Mackenzie's going to lead that group in studio down in Florida, and they're going to be doing that show from there. So you can look at it'll be cast on this SportsLine YouTube channel for sure, probably among other places, but we will have shows. It's just not going to be the regular show that you normally see. Buckets, soccer questions. What you got?
Nothing.
Oh, really?
We need an interception. We need an interception pick from Bucket, says Eric David.
No, you'll get one tomorrow, but I have to get the coin out of retirement and do the flip, because we know those are not my plays. That's the coin's choice. So I'll have that tomorrow.
The Witch King Buckets, interception god.
But no soccer plays. Save your money for the World Cup qualifiers. Cash the one ticket today, and then just sit back on those.
That's really smart, gambling responsible advice. I want to, before we get to the recap screen, I want to give a shout out to John Norell, who is in the chat. He says, what should the punishment be if you had a draft scheduled, but somebody booked a ticket during the draft, a flight during the draft? He's talking about me in the league that I'm drafting in tonight, because I have to go down to Florida. And it just so happens, I don't book those tickets. You all know that. The ticket was booked, by the, our draft. So we had to move the whole draft up. I'm doing it from the airport because I'm going to be at headquarters tomorrow and Friday. You'll see me maybe from the hotel for the morning show, but from the studio for some other stuff, including some primetime pregame and things of that nature. But anyway, I wanted to give John Norell a shout out because, that's not really on me, but it's kind of on me. So Danny, what should the punishment be for me, even though it wasn't my fault?
Well, I'm going to a bachelor party this weekend, and the loser of our fantasy football league last year has to do the 9-9-9 challenge: 9 hot dogs, 9 beers, and 9 innings. So we'll be watching a baseball game or football game, whatever it is, and he's got to consume a tremendous amount of calories and beer. I don't know if you're up for that, but I think something like that is in order for that egregious move, Sia.
I regret asking. Amags, go ahead.
You queue up the players and you let it auto draft and you see what you come out with once you hit the ground. See, that's what you do.
I'm literally doing it from the airport because I don't trust the airplane Wi-Fi. And so we moved up the draft 2 hours. I'm hoping I can get, of the 17 rounds, I'm hoping I can get like 12 in, and then I can maybe queue some players. Bob, you got the last word on this.
Your punishment should be you have to do a show with a white T-shirt in honor of EC.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Oh, yeah, white T-shirt for AC. Take the LSAT, Sia. I've already taken the LSAT, Samuel. I'm not taking it again.
Buttons down, one show, Sia. Full buttons down.
That's also a very good one. All right, before this spins completely out of control and I actually commit to something, let's take a look at the recap screen. I'm going with a prop tomorrow night. More props to come, including the prop show, which will be at 1 o'clock on CBS Sports Network on Friday, and I'm sure we'll put that on the SportsLine YouTube page after the fact. Jake Ferguson over 32.5 receiving yards at -114. Danny Brasco, he's got a teaser. It's really an alt line teaser. Very specific correction there. Eagles -2.5, Chargers +8.5. That's -120. And then we've got Baralo, money line, -120. Then we go to MLB. Blue Jays team total over 4.5 at -125. And Vlad Guerrero Jr. over 1.5 hits, runs, RBI at -155. We go to Bob Berg, A's money line, -103. And then we go we got to go to buckets first. I was just keeping it consistent with the baseball. Ashton United versus Hallam FC. Both teams to score plus over 2.5 goals, -125. Are we really making this an official bet? Ellie De La Cruz over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs at -110. Hey, we're going back to it. Now let's turn to the SportsLine picks. So much baseball today. Shane Bieber over 5.5 Ks, -118. My second favorite Bieber. That is from Prop Bet Guy. Tampa Bay Rays money line +120. That one courtesy of Bruce Marshall. Then we even have some home runs. Varsho, Suarez, Machado, inside the lines. Those are their top MLB home run plays. What an incredible show. What an incredible show. Farzad says, wear a Magic jersey to show off the Persian chest hair. Farzad, a fellow Persian. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we went 37. This is like the longest Wednesday show we've ever. Friday shows can sometimes go long. Sorry for keeping you. We hope we entertained you, and we hope we gave you some excellent picks, not just for today, but maybe for the weekend, as we talked a lot of NFL. Catch the college football picks show noon today, and the NFL picks show at 1 p.m. today on CBS Sports Network. College football, NFL, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. A big thank you to Buckets. A big thank you to Bob. A big thank you to Danny, Amags, and of course, Ben, managing this show on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what a great show. Let's have a great Wednesday. We'll see you next time. Buckets, you wanna close the show?
It's not Friday. I only do that on Fridays.
Wrong. We rest our case.